Hi, in today's lesson we're going to learn some more about the passive in English. This is the second in a series of 3 videos about the passive. If you haven't seen my first video, I would recommend you check it out first by clicking the link above now. Today we're going to learn about the passive infinitive, the passive perfect infinitive, the passive in the present perfect, and the passive in the present continuous. Keep watching until the end, where there'll be a short quiz to see how much you've learned. So let's get started. Okay, to study the passive this week, we're going to compare active sentences with passive sentences to say the same thing. So you'll see how to say it in the active and then how to change to see how to say it in the passive. Remember, we use the passive when we don't know who is doing an action or it's unimportant. So in an active sentence, the subject completes an action, but in a passive, the action is being done to the subject. Okay, so let's have a look at our first example. So let's look at the infinitive. So this is when we have either a bare infinitive, that is the infinitive without to, or the verb with to. This is the infinitive, and various structures use this, so we will see a couple of different examples. Any verb that is in this form would follow this format. So let's first look at an active sentence. The form is to do or to clean, or do or clean in the bare infinitive example. In all my examples today, I will use the verb to do as my example verb, but this would apply to all verbs. So the active sentence is, somebody will clean the car later. Here we have the bare infinitive of the verb to clean with the future simple will. If we transform this into a passive sentence, we take the object of an active sentence, the car, and this becomes the subject of the passive sentence. Remember, the action of a passive sentence is being done to the subject. The passive form is to be or just be, if it's a bare infinitive, plus the past participle, done, or in this case, cleaned, seen, etc. So here, the car will be cleaned later. As it's a passive, we don't know who will clean the car, and it's not really important. The importance of this sentence is that the car will be cleaned later. The action of cleaning the car is important, and not who does this action. Another example of the infinitive is this. XYZ construction company are going to build a new supermarket this year. This is an active sentence. The construction company are doing the action of building. If we want to change this to a passive sentence when we don't know the company or it is unimportant who the company is, the fact that a new supermarket is being built is what is important, we put it in the passive. A new supermarket is going to be built this year. Here we've got the full infinitive to be plus the past participle, built, with the to, unlike the first example. Okay, so now let's look at the perfect infinitive. So here the active form is to have plus the past participle, done, clean, cleaned, or seen, or any past participle. So somebody should have cleaned the car is an example of this in an active sentence. If we transform this to a passive perfect infinitive, we have the passive form, which is to have plus been plus the past participle. So done, cleaned, seen, or any other past participle. So here we would have the car should have been cleaned. Okay, we have another example of this. If you hadn't left the car unlocked, it wouldn't have been stolen. Okay, so now let's look at the present perfect. The active form is have or has plus the past participle. Remember, the present perfect is when an action started in the past but has a result in the present. If you want more information on that, then click the link above now to see another of my videos on the present perfect in more detail. So here, the car looks nice, somebody has cleaned it. So it's the present perfect, And the result is that, look, we can see the car now. In the present, we can see that the car is all nice and clean. But the action of cleaning it started in the past. Whereas if we turn this into a passive, where we don't know or it's not important who cleaned the car, the importance is that the car is clean now. So we use a passive. The form is has or have, been plus done, or any other past participle. So in this sentence, it would be, the car looks nice, it has been cleaned. Okay, so let's have a look at another example. A very common question that we use with the present perfect in active sentences is, have you ever? Have you ever been to Italy? Or have you ever eaten a snail? These are all questions about life experiences, so we use the present perfect. But you want to use the present perfect passive in a question. You say, have you ever been bitten by a snake? So again, you're not doing the biting, it's the snake. So we use the preposition by, but we are using the present perfect passive because the action is happening to you. Okay, so let's move on to look at the past perfect now. So the active form of the past perfect is to use had plus the past participle. So here we have the sentence, the car looked nice, somebody had cleaned it. So remember, we use the past perfect to show an action happening before another action in the past. So the car looked nice in the past, somebody had cleaned it before it looked nice, so we use the past perfect. Here, this is an active sentence because somebody is doing the action of cleaning. Okay, so now we're going to transform that into a past perfect passive sentence. The form is had plus been plus the past participle. So in this case, cleaned. So it would be, the car looked nice, it had been cleaned. Again, it doesn't matter who did the cleaning. The result is what we're interested in. It had been cleaned by somebody. Okay, so let's have a look at another example of the past perfect in the passive. The food didn't taste very good. It had been cooked too long. Okay, next tense, the present continuous. Okay, present continuous in the active, we all know we use the present continuous when we're talking about something that is happening now. The form is am, are, or is, plus the ing form of the verb. Again, like all these verbs, you can check out a link above if you want to learn about these tenses in more detail. Here are sentences. Somebody is cleaning the car at the moment. It is happening now. Turning this into a passive, we use the form am or are or is plus being plus the past participle. So here, being done or being cleaned. The car is being cleaned at the moment. We don't know who is doing it. We don't care who is doing it. It is the action that is happening to the car that we are interested in. So we use the passive. Another example of this would be in a question, a very common question, and you can now use this when you go into a shop and someone asks you, can I help you? You will use the present continuous passive. Aren't you clever? So, no thank you, I am being served by someone. It is not important who. This is the present continuous in the passive. So a pat on your back if you can use this in shops. Well done. So next one is the past continuous. We're nearly there. Past continuous active form is was or were plus the ing form of the verb. So somebody was cleaning the car when I arrived. Often we use the past continuous when something is happening in the past over a duration of time and it is interrupted by an action. So here I arrived in the past simple. Turn this into a passive past continuous. The form is was or were plus being and the past participle. So here the car was being cleaned when I arrived. The passive is used, you know why, because who does it is not important or we don't know who is cleaning the car. So we use the passive. Another example of that would be, there was somebody walking behind us, we were being followed. So this is happening over a period of time in the past. You were being followed by somebody, but again, it is maybe unknown who that person was who was following you, so we use the passive. Okay, so now it's your turn. Let's see how much you have remembered or learned. What I want you to do is to change these active sentences into passive ones. Number 1, they have postponed the meeting. The meeting has been postponed. Here we have the present perfect passive form, which has the form has plus been plus the past participle. We don't know who has postponed the meeting, and it is not important. The importance is the meeting time has been delayed. It is at a later time. 2. Somebody is using the computer at the moment. The computer is being used at the moment. This is the present continuous passive form. It is being used by somebody. We don't know who it is. It is not important who it is. It is just important that we can't use the computer. So we use is plus being plus the past participle. 3. I didn't realize that somebody was recording our conversation. I didn't realize that our conversation was being recorded. Here, this is the past continuous passive form. So we have was plus being plus the past participle, which is recorded. We don't know who is doing it. It is not important. What is important is that the conversation was recorded. 4. When we got to the stadium, we found that they had cancelled the game. When we got to the stadium, we found that the game had been cancelled. Here we are using the past perfect passive form, and the form is had plus been plus the past participle. We use the passive, you know why, because we don't know who has cancelled the game, and it is not important. The importance is the game is not on. It has been cancelled. Finally, number 5, the situation is serious. Someone must do something before it's too late. Write your answers down below in the comment section and I'll let you know how you do. So that's it for now. I hope you feel more confident using the passive in English. Remember to like this video if you found it useful and share it with your family and friends learning English. And don't forget to subscribe so as not to miss out on any new English language videos. Thank you for watching and see you very soon. Bye-bye.